We're currently in between satellites, and you're now seeing a live view inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Once we have views
Dragon, SpaceX on Dragon to ground. No response required for your awareness. We'll be clearing the RGPS-1 alert shortly.
And Freedom copy. Thank you. SpaceX, Freedom on the cabin mic, com check.
Freedom, SpaceX on Dragon to ground. I had you 5x5 on the cabin mic.
Copy, thanks.
If you're just joining us, we have live coverage as we just watched as Crew Dragon Freedom docked to the International Space Station at 6:37 p.m. Central Time while flying 261 statute miles over the central part of the Pacific Ocean. Now that Dragon is docked, Tom Marshburn, as well as the rest of his crew, is securing some hardware and then moving right into the hatch operations. First, he will open the large hatch at Node 2 Zenith, giving them access inside the pressurized mating adapter. Then we'll have to pressurize the vestibule, which is that small space between the hatches on Dragon and the space station. This was previously exposed to vacuum prior to docking, and we will need to fill it with air and make sure its pressure is nearly equal with the atmospheric pressures on Dragon and the station. Marshburn will use a small valve on the station's hatch to slowly introduce air into the vestibule. Flight controllers here in Houston will monitor the pressure and the temperature readings inside and verify that everything is leak-free before we get ready to open up the hatches. We expect this to take about 2 hours to get everything pressurized and checked out before we open the hatches. With Dragon's hatch currently targeted to open a little bit after 8 p.m. Central Time. Following hatch open, the crew will configure Dragon for an on-orbit ops and get a safety briefing. A few hours after that, Russian cosmonauts will wake up to begin their day, which will include a spacewalk. They will also have welcoming remarks with the 4 Crew-4 astronauts.
Dragon, SpaceX on Dragon to ground. ISS crew has begun vestibule pressurization. Feel free to reference 4.400 Section 4 for telemetry if you'd like.
And Freedom copies, that didn't work.
You're currently seeing inside the International Space Station as Tom Marshburn and Kayla Barron are preparing the area for the crew to ingress the space station. They're currently removing baggage and stowage area out of the way so there's more room for the crew to float through. And clarification, that was Rasha Chari and Kayla Barron removing stowage to prepare for the crew to float through once the hatch is open. Now docked, Tom Marshburn, current station commander, is now securing some hardware and moving into the hatch operations. You saw other crew members just removing stowage from the area, preparing for it to give them access to inside the pressurized mating adapter. They'll then be able to pressurize the vestibule, that space between the hatches on Dragon and the space station. This was previously exposed to vacuum prior to docking.
SpaceX on the big loop. ISS power connection established. Freedom copies.
With the earlier docking time, we also expect the hatch to open just as early, around the 8 p.m. time frame Central Time. It takes about 2 hours to get everything pressurized and checked out before we open the hatches between Dragon and the station. Following hatch open, there typically would be a welcome ceremony. However, the crew will be awaiting the Russian cosmonauts to awake and have welcome remarks with the rest of the other 4 crew members. Crew-4 will join them and make a complement of 11 astronauts doing welcoming remarks. That'll happen around 1:40 a.m. Central Time. Currently on station is Crew 3 astronauts. That's astronauts Kayla Barron, Rasha Chari, Tom Marshburn, ESA or European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer. Also aboard the space station is Russian cosmonauts Sergei Korsakov, Oleg Artemyev, and Denis Matveyev. Currently on your screen is NASA astronaut Kayla Barron going through a stowage bag. Dragon is currently in repress, about 5 more minutes on the leak checks, and about 45 minutes after that, we're looking for the hatch to open right around that 8 p.m. Central Time frame. If you're just joining us, we have live mission coverage of NASA's SpaceX Crew-4 mission to the International Space Station, where they'll stay for a 6-month rotational mission. Dragon has officially docked to the station around 6:37 p.m. Central Time, and we're now awaiting repress of repress and pressurization of the vestibule between the space station and the Dragon Freedom capsule. Flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston are monitoring the pressure and temperature readings inside and verifying that nothing's leaking before we get ready to open up the hatches. We're expecting it to take another 45 minutes to get everything pressurized and checked out before we open the hatches up for Dragon and the station, currently targeted to open up around 8 p.m. Central Time. Following hatch open, we'll see the Crew-4 crew, along with the other 7 astronauts on board the station, eagerly awaiting to greet their new crewmates. Post-hatch open, that will end our coverage today, but we'll actually come back on air around 1:40 a.m. Central Time to see the crew welcome remarks, where Crew 3 astronauts, NASA astronauts Kayla Barron, Rasha Chari, Tom Marshburn, ESA astronaut Matthias Maurer, and Russian cosmonauts Sergei Korsakov, Oleg Artemyev, and Denis Matveyev all greet and welcome each other aboard. You're currently seeing live views inside the International Space Station in the Harmony module, where Kayla Barron, in your bottom left-hand corner, is beginning to do some preparations, or continuing preparations for the arrival for Crew-4. They docked at the International Space Station at 6:37 p.m. Central Time while flying 261 statute miles above the Central Pacific Ocean.
Dragon, SpaceX on Dragon to ground for status.
And SpaceX from Freedom, we've got 4 of us out of the suits. We are continuing through the 2 procedures, 4.012 and 4.400, and you are welcome to come back on board if you want.
Okay, copy all, Farmer. Thanks for the update. A quick update for you. We're seeing indications of a good vestibule leak check. Stand by for more. And we'll bring the cameras back on board.
Okay, copy that. And for your awareness, we're about 12 minutes into the suit dry cycle.
Copy, 12 minutes.
You just heard calls from the core, or the Crew Operations Resource Engineer at SpaceX, into the Crew Dragon Freedom, telling the crew about a good vestibule check. And the crew reported back that they have doffed their suits, or taken off their suits, and they are preparing for hatch open as well, running through some checks on their side before the hatches can be opened.
Dragon, SpaceX on Dragon to ground. Cameras are back on board. We see Jessica's glove.
Copy that. Welcome back.
You're back seeing live views inside Crew Dragon Freedom. You currently see a couple empty suits still in the chairs as the crew are continuing to do preparations to open the hatch and ingress the International Space Station. We're looking for that ingress to happen around 30 minutes from now.
Dragon and Station Houston on Space to Ground 2 on the big loop. Dragon and Houston on Ground 2 on the big loop.
Station's listening on the big loop. And Freedom's ready on the big loop.
Houston is reconfiguring for hardline comm. During this next about 5 minutes, you will be down vehicle-to-vehicle comm.
Station's listening on the big loop.
And space to ground.
And Freedom's ready on the big loop. Two copies.
Houston is reconfiguring for hardline comm. During this next about 5 minutes, you will be down vehicle-to-vehicle comm. You'll still have Dragon to ground and space to ground.
Station copies. Freedom copies.
And that was Capcom Alex Kanalinkos here in Mission Control Houston, relaying to the Dragon crew aboard Freedom that their comm-to-comm for station to Dragon will be down about 5 minutes, but they'd still have connection through space to ground and Dragon to ground to Mission Control Houston. And as astronaut Kayla Barron running through her procedures and checklists on her iPad, Velcroed to her leg as she's running through procedures to continue preparations for Crew-4's arrival and ingress out of the Dragon into the International Space Station.
Station and Dragon, Houston on the big loop. We are ready for vehicle-to-vehicle voice checks on hardline. Station and Dragon, Houston on the big loop. We are ready for vehicle-to-vehicle voice checks on hardline.
station copies on 2 Freedom. How do you hear on the big loop? Disrupt you. And Freedom on the big loop is ready for voice checks. Houston, Freedom, we have you loud and clear on station. And Station Freedom has you loud and clear. And Freedom's ready for voice checks on the big loop.
Houston copies. Good voice check.
And Houston, Freedom, we have you loud and clear on station. And Station Freedom has you loud and clear also.
Houston copies. Good voice checks.
SpaceX Freedom for inventory.
Freedom SpaceX on Dragon and Ground, ready to copy. Okay, Jessica, to read back, 2 meals from 309, 2 meals from 301, 5 water bottles from 208, and the rest of the meals are per the packing plan.
We're currently in a brief handover between satellites. You're currently seeing a live view inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room, but we'll get views of Dragon and inside the space station back to you shortly.
Dragon, SpaceX on Dragon to ground for 4.400.
And go for freedom.
Okay, Freedom, we expect that the ISS side is close to ready for hatch open. We're hoping you can step into Section 5 of 4.400 for the waste system flush, and we will stand by for a report on which water bottle you intend to use for that task.
Okay, Freedom copies the status. We have water bottles set aside from bag 208 that are already accounted. They were partially used before. We're going to use those for the waste flush.
Okay, copy all. Thanks for the clarification. Sounds good.
For those of you just joining us, Crew-4 NASA astronauts Kjell Lindgren, Bob Hines, and Jessica Watkins, and European Space Agency astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti had a successful launch this morning around 2:52 a.m. Central Time from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We saw Crew-4 on Dragon Freedom dock to the International Space Station at 6:37 p.m. Central Time. We're looking for them to open hatches to let the crew ingress in just about 18 minutes from now. That's 8 p.m. Central Time. We're looking for the crew to be able to ingress, to open hatches and ingress into the International Space Station. We're in a brief handover period currently between satellites, and we'll have views of Dragon and the International Space Station back shortly. You are currently seeing a live view of the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Houston, Texas, where Flight Director Adi Bulos saw us through integrated operations as well as docking. To his right, you see Alex Kanalenkos, the Capcom or the capsule communicator, who you'll hear talking to the crew from the ground up to the station.
Dragon Station, we are ready for hatch equalization. And Dragon copies, we're ready.
Station Houston on the big loop. We need about 3 to 4 minutes to finish equalization.
Copies.
And Tom, just clarification on that. Your go to equalize, it will take 3 to 4 minutes.
Copy, go to equalize, and it'll take 3 to 4 minutes.
And you're getting live views of Mission Control Houston, where flight controllers here are looking after the International Space Station, which Freedom Dragon just docked to around 6:37 p.m. Central Time. You just heard Capcom here in Mission Control Houston confirm with the crew that equalization is ready to start between ISS and Freedom. He also let the crew know that it would take about 3 to 4 minutes for that to continue, and verify that the hatch is good to be open between the station and Freedom. Earlier, we did hear a call to the crew saying that the ISS side is close to ready for hatch to open, and that the system flush was needed on the SpaceX Dragon side. Again, the clock has started from Freedom to the International Space Station for equalization. It's in progress, and we're looking for 3 to 4 minutes before that is complete. Again, we are between satellites and currently in a loss of signal, which is expected at this time. And so we're waiting on views to return from Dragon and the International Space Station. As we wait, we are in the middle of a timer as equalization is underway. And that's waiting on pressurization to equalize between Freedom and the space station before the hatch can be opened. Again, we're in the middle of pressurization to equalize pressure between Freedom and the space station.
SpaceX, ready to copy on Dragon to ground.
Hey, external. We're going to be changing into our flight suits.
Okay, copy all, Kjell. We'll take the cameras external, get right back to you. Freedom SpaceX, cameras are external.
Station Houston on Space to Ground 3, no response required. We see in the video, just letting you know that we're reconfiguring the potable water source, so you may hear some valve movement. Copy, thumbs up.
And that was thumbs up from the crew as they heard from Capcom. And we have good equalization on the ISS and between Dragon and the ISS. As soon as the space craft Crew Dragon Freedom is ready, I'm told that we are ready to have hatch open just here shortly. Again, we're looking for that to happen around 8 p.m. Central Time.
Dragon SpaceX on Dragon to Ground for next steps.
Freedom's ready, copy.
All right, Freedom, the ISS is ready. Ground teams are also ready for Dragon hatch opening on your go. Sorry, you have a go to open the forward hatch. And then contact us per step 6.6 of 4.400.
Okay, copy. It's going to take us about 5 to 10 more minutes.
Okay, copy all.
And you just heard from the Crew Operations Resource Engineer, or CORE at SpaceX, telling Crew Dragon, the crew aboard Dragon, that they are ready to open the hatch as soon as they are ready. The crew did report they need about 5 to 10 more minutes before they're ready to open. But that's great news to hear that we are ready here shortly, around 8 p.m. Central Time, to open the hatch. Again, preparations continuing on both sides.
Station Houston on Space to Ground 3 for Kayla. Notice in your, just above and to your right, there's a CPA cable sticking out. If you can tuck that back in, just so, yes, that right there, so it doesn't get snagged. Thank you so much.
And you just heard Capcom Alex Kanilenkos giving a few checks left to the crew inside the International Space Station to prepare for the ingress of Crew-4. As you can see, preparations are still continuing between the ISS and on Crew Dragon Freedom. The Crew-4 astronauts are getting things configured and will join the 7-person crew on station, bringing the total crew members on station to 11. You currently see a view of all 4 Crew 3 members, while the 3 Russian cosmonauts sleep. We will be back on air after hatch opening around 1:40 a.m. and all 11 crew members will be awake for welcoming remarks. If you're just joining us, you're looking live inside the International Space Station as the crew aboard prepare for the ingress of Crew-4, which docked to the International Space Station's Zenith port on the Harmony module at 6:37 p.m. Central Time. Pressurization and equalization has happened, and we are waiting for the SpaceX Crew Dragon Freedom crew members to open their hatch and ingress the International Space Station. With about a 15 or 16 hour rendezvous to docking, this was one of the fastest, if not the fastest, commercial crew flights to the International Space Station. If you're just joining us, you're watching a live broadcast for the Crew-4 mission, which had a successful launch at 2:52 a.m. Central Time and docked to the space station at 6:37 p.m. Central today. Now we're just waiting for the crew to open the hatch and ingress or come aboard the space station, which will happen shortly. The crew on board station you see on the screen is NASA astronaut Kayla Barron and Rasha Chari. They're eagerly awaiting the Crew-4 astronauts to come aboard.
SpaceX station, this is Freedom on Big Loop. We are ready for hatch opening.
Freedom SpaceX on the Big Loop, go for hatch opening.
Taking copies.
Dragon SpaceX on the Big Loop, hoping to bring cameras on board.
Please come aboard.
And you just heard a few checks from the Crew Operations Resource Engineer, or the core at SpaceX. Great news with that go for hatch opening. And we do have a go for hatch open, but we are waiting on the crew inside Dragon to finish some preparations and open the hatch. After the hatch is open, it probably will take another few minutes for the crew to ingress the space station and be welcomed to their new home for the next 6 months as a part of the Expedition 67 crew. They will continue to walk through some procedures as they ingress, before ingressing the International Space Station. They are looking to install IMV ducting, mixing the air of the space station environment with the air inside the Crew Dragon Freedom. They'll seal some of the IO, or lithium hydroxide cartridges that scrubbed carbon dioxide inside the Dragon capsule on the ride to the International Space Station. They'll check some vent valves as well, so they may be just a little bit more time until we welcome them on board. And Dragon hatch is open, and they are welcoming the Crew-4 astronauts on board. You see all smiles around as Jessica Watkins, Bob Hines, Samantha Cristoforetti have ingressed and are hugging all their current Crew-3 crew members. And last one in, we see Commander of Dragon, Kjell Lindgren, now entering into the International Space Station. You're currently looking at all 8 crew members of Crew 3 and 4 together inside the Harmony module, welcoming the new crew aboard. Crew 3 and Crew 4 will do what's called a direct handover. For the next 5 days, there'll be 2 Dragons docked to the International Space Station. Crew 3 currently set to undock in just about 5 days from now.
Station Houston on Space to Ground 3, no response required. Just letting you know, PWD is going to be down 10 to 15 minutes. Sorry for the timing, but... And Kjell, I'll owe you a beverage when you come back home.
Houston Station IMV duct installation is complete. Go for IMV fan activation.
Houston copies.